Hi everyone, welcome to Danny's Corner. Today I want to talk about accessibility. Before I begin to talk about this though, is if you see that um, I am either wearing the same clothes or whatnot, let me tell you that I have decided to make several videos a day ahead of time. So that means that I will make several videos a day, but post them um, every day, one after the other. And that's because there might be days, for example, where I may have a migraine and I may not feel well. And migraines can last anywhere from 2 to 3 days, depending on how severe is it. Other times, for example, I have cerebral palsy, so it may not be, I may be in pain some of the time, or I may just get busy with other things during the day. And if I were to make these videos every day, I wouldn't have time. So I am making these videos the same day, 3 or 4 of them, and then just all I have to do is get on my computer and post whatever video I want for that day, and there you go, you have a video. So that's what I wanted to say before I continue with the video. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I am a totally blind person, and I'm making these videos not only because it's Blindness Awareness Month, if you did not know, but it's also to make people aware that we are here and we are listening to the things that you are saying, to the way that you treat us. And I know that you have questions. I, as a blind individual, have questions about sighted folks. And one of those questions is, how come things are not accessible for all of us when they're able to be? And I have other questions too that I don't understand that I will get to in other videos. So let's talk about accessibility. First of all, what's accessibility, and what's the difference between that and usability? What's accessible and what's usable? So to me, the difference is accessible is when you're able to go to the website, you're able to get on it, and or you can reach an item. That's accessible. When you can either use, in this case, a website if it's technology, or when it comes to computers, or if you can reach something with your hands or whatnot, it's accessible to you. Usability, it's another different story. As you may remember, I made a video, a review on the Best Choice Products foot massager. And it's a machine, and there are a lot of reviews on YouTube if you want to know what that is. My review is going to give you a different perspective. You might not be able to see the machine because, as I said, I'm blind, and I've said in other videos, I'm the only one that's making these videos. There's nobody with me as I'm making them. So there's no way for me to know if I'm pointing the camera, especially if I'm using things like an Android or an iPhone or whatnot. You may not see my face, or you may not see the product. There's a bunch of things that I wouldn't say go wrong, right? But I would say that there's definitely things that don't always go the way that I want them to go. So you are experiencing, in a sense, the way that the way I experience them when I go and watch a YouTube video. And yes, I did say watch. A lot of people have problems with people like me using, did you see this or did you see that? Or they feel a bit weird by asking me those questions. Listen, we all use those. And so we should stop with this type of thing. It's no big deal. I think it's time for us to get around that. We may not see with our eyes, but certainly our minds help us a lot. Our hands are also one of those things that help us to see the world around us. And yeah, so I'm okay with it, and if I'm okay with it, you should be too. If there are people that don't like that, then they should make people aware of that, and then they can come up with whatever word choice they would prefer. Anyway, so as I was saying with the Best Choice Products foot massager, the way that works is it's a machine, and when I was doing videos on this, or when I did the 2 videos, or 3, I did one in Spanish for my Spanish channel, Hablando con Dani, and then I did 2, I think, here in the Danny's Corner. And I thought, oh, there are buttons, or at least that's what they said. Well, there are buttons, but what I didn't know is that those buttons are touch screen, which means because of my CP, I have my fingers aren't sensitive enough, the tips of my fingers, and I'm not able to read Braille because of that. And so I think that that makes it even harder to know what button is which, especially when it comes to these machines, that the buttons aren't raised in any way. I don't know if they're tactile. They're not large. It's just as if I was touching a screen. So there isn't any way for me to know one button from the other. What is accessible is the remote control to some degree. So example, there are 6 buttons which are large and are spaced. They have the right amount of space, at least to me they do. But where it gets tricky and I'm not able to use the machine the way that I would like to, this is where accessibility comes in, is I don't know what button I'm pressing. So there is a manual, there's a user guide, but I cannot read print. And there is no guide in Braille, or there is no CD-ROM, there is no USB stick for me to take out and pop onto my computer so I can, read the text with the screen reader. And even if I did, a lot of these things come with pictures, and screen readers don't do well with those. So sometimes even with user manuals that are online, you get all of these graphics, and it can be tricky. It can be tricky, and you have to have other people to clean up a lot of the junk, if you will, that's on these documents, and to make it not only readable for a person like me, but they have to add descriptive text to some of these pictures and so forth and so on. But anyway, that's what it would take for me to access a manual as this one. So I think that would be a good idea. As I was saying, with the Best Choice Products foot massager, I didn't know what button I was pressing. And a good thing would have been is to make it talk to you. And I know if we have computers talking to us, if we have microwaves, accessible microwaves that you press the button and it talks to you and it tells you how many minutes are left, if you have TVs already with screen readers, if you have other devices with other voice output built into them, why can't we have something like that when it comes to machines such as this one? Regardless if it's a foot massager, regardless if it's a reclining sofa that has other features, or any other device that is not currently usable by the blind community or any other community, right? Because each and every one of us has different needs, and those should be taken into account. One of the things that I have always asked myself is apartment buildings and or houses. Even when those apartments say that they're accessible, even when those houses say that they're accessible in terms of wheelchair accessibility and so forth, I find that they're really not. It's one thing what the law says, and it's another thing what is actually happening in practice. There's a difference with theory versus practice. And so I find I've had to use a wheelchair before when I've had surgeries, which I'm going to also talk about, experiences at the hospital and whatnot. But when I've used wheelchairs to get around, some of those entryways when it comes to doors, going into a kitchen, me turning to get something from a shelf or whatnot, it's quite inaccessible. It's not accessible for me to do that. So if you go, let's say, to a house that was previously occupied by somebody in a wheelchair, or an apartment that was previously occupied by somebody in a wheelchair, you're going to find marks and other things that have been left because of the wheelchair scraping or bumping into things, and it left like certain things, right? That say, oops, there was an accident here. And those can add up to significant their damages. And who has to pay for those damages? Us, the people who pay deposits, and were the people that obviously upkeep these properties for somebody new to move in. So the thing is, how can we make these things accessible? Number one is to recognize that, as I have said before, regardless of who you are, doesn't matter if you have a disability or not, there's going to come a point in your life that you are going to be unable to do the things that you're doing now. It's not an if, it's a when. And that's what every architect, every designer, every person who works when it comes to building buildings and or houses or anything else where people have to gather, they have to think about these things. How can we design a place that's not only accessible but it's usable for everyone? And so in this case, they can make entrances to the kitchen, to the main entrance, the backyard, the closets, and other spaces big enough to where somebody in a wheelchair can get in. Also, make the spaces big enough so the person in a wheelchair, in this case, can navigate around. Make sure that the shelves are not up high. This particular place that I'm talking about, I lived in a house. The rod that the clothes had to be hung from was way high. I could barely reach it. I'm 5'5", and so what am I supposed to do? Um, in this case, I do have somebody to help me, but if I was somebody else who didn't have another person, what was I going to do? And that's where people need to think. This person is not always going to be able to reach up. People have hip replacements, knee replacements, or a number of things can go wrong, or a number of things can happen as you age and your body starts changing. And you may not always want to be in a facility, in a rehab facility. A lot of people prefer to be in their house. And there's nothing more satisfying, more peaceful, that gets you in a good mood than to be in your own house, enjoying the things that you have around, because you will avoid a lot of problems when you are in your house, instead of with other people. There's a lot of things that can happen. You have to follow other people's schedules, and anyway. So that's one thing. The other thing is making sure that the place where you live, let's say if you have stairs in your house or going into your apartment building or whatnot, if there is a way to make that place where you can have again, I'm no designer nor contractor nor architect, so I don't know how this would work. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But make it to where there's a ramp that can somehow take you to the to the floor above where the rooms are, or I don't know, make sure that there's a room on the first floor instead of all the rooms being upstairs. Having a bathroom also downstairs, so there doesn't have to be people in wheelchairs going upstairs all the time. For example, making sure that all bathrooms have grab bars. That would be a good thing. Making sure that there are shower chairs. I don't know. You could do all sorts of things. I don't know if there could be such a thing where you could build a shower chair and it could fold in itself, like go into a nook of the bathroom wall or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. Make sure that there are built-in shelves as well. Also, the bathroom, make it a little bit bigger for those people who are wheelchair users who may need a little bit more space when it comes to using the bathroom. I find that a lot of bathrooms now, regardless if it's a house or apartment, are really small. And I had a really hard time myself when I had an Achilles tendon lengthening surgery. It was very hard for me to use a wheelchair, and using the bathroom where I was. Nobody came to my house and kind of said, "Oh, well, let's look for an appropriate chair for you to use." They just gave me whatever they had without any consideration. So those are some things. Again, I will be perhaps talking more on this topic later on. If you want to know more about this or other topics, please consider subscribing to my channel, giving a like, share this content with other people who you might think are interested in this, and leave your comments, suggestions. Let me know that that you enjoy these videos. Let me know what you think, your experiences. They're really helpful. Also, remember, I said before, I have another channel. It's called Hablando con Dani. It's a Spanish channel where I talk about the same things that I do on this channel, but with another. Obviously, there are going to be different references. Certain things are going to be different because it's another culture. It's another language. So not everything is going to be the same as this, but I'll keep it really close. And again, I'm trying to catch up, as the other channel is fairly new. This one has a little bit over a month. The other one about 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks. So yeah, if you do speak Spanish and you want to subscribe to the other channel, you can. The other channel will be in the tab where it says channels, and you could find that channel there. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate the comments that I have gotten so far. I appreciate all of those people who have subscribed to this channel. And remember that although you may not always see my face because I may be either facing the wrong way, it happens sometimes, or I might be using another device, and because of my CP, my hand is not steady. There's a number of things that can go wrong. I do these videos primarily to bring people awareness, to make people aware, to bring people some knowledge, and hopefully you're able to learn from that. So thank you for bearing with me. Also remember, if you think that I talk too slow or whatnot, you can always do the go into the YouTube options and speed up. I don't know if it speeds up the video itself or just the voice. For me, I do that a lot. I speed up the voice to 2x. At least that's what the screen reader says. So I listen to things pretty fast. So a 20-minute video, you can listen to it in 10 minutes and so forth. So thank you very much. I appreciate all of your support, and I hope that you will continue to join me for more upcoming videos. Thanks. Bye.